Audio. All right, so let's just start off who you are, what you do, and where you're from, and tell us. I want to know about the company a little bit more.
Sure. Yeah. My name's Jared Walker. I live in Howell, Michigan. I'm originally from Mountain Home, Arkansas. I grew up in the Ozarks, and throughout life I lived there for 30-something years. With work took me to Georgia, and in Georgia about a year and a half, and then back in 2016 we moved to Michigan, moved to Howell, and
So the Razorbacks, right?
oh, I'm a hog
Arkansas.
man, through and through.
Can you hunt hogs down there pretty easily?
You can hunt hogs, but now I'll tell you one thing: you can no longer hunt hogs in the national forest.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the big national forest down there?
So you get the Ozark National Forest.
Right.
Approximately, I think what.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know much about Arkansas.
Yeah. Well, I will. If you could take a box, just take a square.
Mhm.
All right, and then if you were to look at that square in the upper left-hand corner of that square, so if you were to take it, and if you were to make the box into 4 equal quadrants, take the upper left-hand quadrant, and basically have mountains.
Mm-hmm.
The other 3 are flatlands in the delta. Okay, so you got the Mississippi River running
This
on
is
the.
probably a great place to live
Oh, I never knew what I had growing up in my backyard.
until you left.
Oh, I mean, if you look at it, we had, so they called it the Twin Lakes area. So I had Lake Norfolk, Bull Shoals, right there, the White River, the Buffalo River, and the Norfolk River, which are incredible trout streams. And some of at one point, the world record brown trout came just right there out of Norfolk, 20 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
So yeah, I grew up in a sportsman's paradise and just never really knew what you had, like I said, until you left, and then realized it when I went to college, and I went to college on the east side of the state, Arkansas State. I'm still a hog fan, but I did graduate from another university, so technically I'm a Red Wolf, but yeah, huge hog fan.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's all good, man. But so yeah, we moved to Michigan. So I've got a wife and 3 kids. It's about to be 7, 5, and 3. So I got Levi, Evan, and Maple. So just trying to raise those kids and get them outdoors and do things too.
Dude, kids aren't even not on my radar. They're just not.
I know it's okay. Wait, you got
You have
time.
Yeah.
Do your thing, man. Make this podcast, grow it, and roll with it. So
that'd be great.
yeah, you can just talk to me and be like, when you think about something, just bounce it off and then, should I do this? And I'd just be like, go at it.
Yeah.
Full tilt. No, man, it's great. But I mean, I grew up hunting. Not as much fishing as much, but I still love to do it. My whole family are hunters. It's pretty much our DNA.
Yeah.
It's what we did. I think of deer season back home as like a family reunion.
Yeah.
Now, growing up, we were able to run hunting dogs, beagles.
Really?
Yeah, so totally I mean, you can't do that there now, but at the time,
For deer?
for deer.
Yeah, that's like a huge no-no. That's foreign to me.
Right. So, I mean, and that's just like a geographic thing, right? So, like Virginia, it's still just normal, right?
Yeah.
Still a normal thing. So, up until I was probably about, I don't know, 20 years old, I probably killed more deer running than I did standing still.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so I was really good.
Is it still like that?
No, it's changed. Everything's really changed. You know what I mean? That all those regulations changed, and so it's not like that anymore. So no, it's more like hunting here, right? So it's totally different. It's changed. Culture change that happens,
Sure.
but everybody has to adapt. It's what you do. And when we went from the, it's kind of funny. I could segue this into the rifle piece almost. We grew up dogging, doing that whole thing, which, my gosh, was it fun. You know what I mean? But I think it was the camaraderie around it because of what you did, and I love to hear hounds run. So my grandpa back home, he's still they coyote hunt all winter with dogs.
That's really cool. I've seen that.
And so they coyote hunt.
I'd like to be a part of that someday.
Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. And you pretty much, when deer season ends, they just coyote hunt all the way through the end of February.
Yeah.
Because it's not like here where it's open year round. So you get that time frame that you go out there and you hit it hard. And it's he and some of his buddies that have been they've been doing it since the 70s.
The 70s.
Yeah, I mean,
Sounds so
yeah.
distant. The 70s.
I know. I mean, my grandpa was a with his hounds. He still has hounds back home, and he was a 3-time field trial national champion.
Really?
Like, back-to-back years out. Yeah, so when my dad was still at home, that's what they were doing. So like, yeah, we.
So your dad's a big part of what you do now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How did you guys like come together to kind of start Flint Ridge?
So starting Flint Ridge Rifles. There's a tagline in there, you know, that you'll see in our stuff that says it's a generational acquisition, right?
That's like your shtick?
Our shtick, you know, our slogan, you know, but when we think about it, we think about a rifle being more than, yes, this is
Wait, say that one more time.
A generational acquisition.
Okay.
So think about it, it's not something that you're acquiring now. It's
Yeah.
something, yes, you're acquiring it now, but your son, your grandson, or your daughter.
I like that.
It's something that you get now.
Well, that's exactly when I go to buy a rifle or I go to like look at rifles at, you know, Cabela, whatever, wherever you're going, I always look at it like that, like, okay, I'm going to be spending a lot of money, but my purchase and what I'm looking at and the things that I'm going to give this to my son. Hopefully, the gun that I purchased is going to be then handed down to my grandson, and so that'd be really cool for me.
Yeah, as you know, like when we talk so much with conservation and whatnot, and when Teddy Roosevelt talked about, you know, so much for what we're doing with the public lands, and we're doing this for the generations that yet unborn in the womb of time, right? So think about it that way, of like you're purchasing something now, but we want to, like, we build this rifle for you, and your the grandkid comes through, and eventually the barrel shot out.
Yeah,
we're gonna make it right. We're gonna rebarrel that for them. But
for those of you who can't see, which is all of you, well, maybe not all of you, but we have guns all over the place, and there's a lot of cool guns. My blood pressure rose a little bit, and we brought a lot of optics, but. Sorry again.
So so like I said, my dad's a big part of this, right? And we wanted. So my dad, with what I saw, growing up, always interested in accuracy, and the long range thing of like being able to extend your effective range. It's always been a part of what I've been around. So my great grandfather would go, the one we were talking about earlier, the one that lived out in Colorado for quite a while. He would go out west, and he used to call them artillery shots.
Artillery?
Yeah, like when they would take a cannon in the army, and you'd shoot, and then you would adjust.
Super long range.
Yeah. So, but then back in the day, this is just like Jack O'Connor, if you're reading
That's
about
like
him.
one of my favorite terms is back in the day.
Yeah, right.
Because it's like, it's so, it could mean anything.
It could
back
mean last week.
Yeah.
but in this, it's probably more like around 1955, 56. With a 270 Winchester or something like that.
Yeah.
And you're shooting at a mule deer on the opposite hillside, and you're like, well, shot over its back.
Yeah.
Probably ought to aim a little lower.
Yeah.
But that's where the artillery shot. So his love for that and being able to effectively extend his range, my dad picked up on that, and then it kind of came down through me, like, Dad would be reading in the living room even precision shooting, right?
Yeah.
This is pre, there were no forums, chat rooms, all the other stuff. The best shooters who are out there were writing into this essentially monthly journal, right? And this is where you would pick up the knowledge.
Right.
There's stacks of these things, right? So if you go through this and you read, there's all these little pieces that you would learn about making accurate rifles and improving, extending your range. So with that basically coming into my DNA, we realized over time that there was only so much that we could do with a factory offering, right? You can take a factory gun and you can make it, certain things you can do to make it shoot better, right? But how do you take better and make it great, right? And that's what we wanted. And knowing too that the quality of the components that go into it, it matters.
Right.
Essentially, when you want to lay down behind something and you want to study the shot and you want to make sure that you can hit that shot and have a follow-up shot if needed and be able to pretty much it was one, the accuracy for the longest time was 1 inch at 100 yards, right?
Right.
You got to think back. It used to be pie plate accuracy. Set the pie plate up at 100 yards. If you hit the pie plate, it's time to go hunting, right? Over time, we've taken that down to now we are in a period of history where the advancements in technology and guns have gotten so much better, right? And we expect everything to be 1 inch or better at 100 yards. And we're not going to put anything out that's not half inch or better at 100 yards.
Right.
So that to get to that level.
I'll be the first to say though. I didn't really grow up with, rifles, with scopes.
Yeah.
Lots of people do. Living below the limited rifle line in Michigan, I grew up with shotguns.
Sure.
I'm a stone cold killer with a shotgun.
That's right.
But scopes were new to me like 4 years ago maybe, and you start doing the research and the MOA and all this jazz, and it's really intimidating, I think.
Oh yeah.
And I think there's so much information too. So like you're getting kind of a little bit across.
Drinking from a fire hose, man.
Oh, it's crazy.
And then what do you grasp? What do I need? What do I not need to know? When everything's coming at you.
Yes.
So many terms, all this other stuff. Why do I need this? What's going on with that?
Yeah.
It's confusing.
It's really is.
Very confusing.
It really is.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's amazing that you guys are deciding to make guns. That's
it's something that
it just seems like a big task.
It is a big task. It requires capital. It requires money. It requires investment and time and energy to go into it. But we're looking to where Dad's had a really good career. He's looking at his career starting to sunset. Right. What's his next thing? He's young. Yeah. Right. So what's the next phase, right? And we're trying to set up what's the next phase.
What is the FlintRidgeRifles.com?
FlintRidgeRifles.com.
So you can go on there. Is there anything that you want to? Is there anything people should look at on there?
Yeah, when you go to the homepage and you look through there's a couple different pieces. You can look at the different rifles. You'll see on there where we've got a couple versions that are put together. I would call the higher end models, right? And you'll see the Bomber and the Highlander and the Ozark. Essentially,
those are your three go-to.
That's what we're going to kind of call from there. There'll be plenty of variations off of that.
Like your flagships.
Yep, those are the flagships. Okay. And so essentially from that, what we're saying is the Ozark, paying homage back to where we come from in the Ozarks, and it all started with the Remington 700.
Yep.
Right? The 700 action.
Yeah, you're a fan of that.
Yep, I'm a huge fan of the Remington 700s, and what we were talking about earlier is the 700 is like the 1022 of the bolt action rifles. Sure. There's so many things that you can do from it. The availability of components. I tell folks, it's your canvas. Right. How do you want to paint it?
Right.
That gets into, you can take a 700 and make it super accurate.
All right, so I got a question for you.
Yep.
What is different? What is the difference between me going down to the local sporting goods store, picking up a rifle, and coming to you and saying, hey, I want you to make me a rifle, besides cost?
Besides cost? Okay.
Because we'll get into that in a
second. Sure. Okay. Cost,
so like, for example, right now, I'm looking at a 6.5 Creedmoor.
Okay.
I want to shoot anything from, like on the high end, I would say elk, and on the low end, I would say I want to shoot all deer, antelope,
right,
sheep, anything like that.
Yep.
Just kind of a good solid range. I want to be able to not worry about knockdown power. I want to worry about just gonna be a good round rifle for me.
Right.
What would you? I'm your client. What would you tell me?
Well, I guess I would ask, are you dead set on the 6.5 Creedmoor?
Really?
The only reason why I'd say that is there's just the 6.5 Creedmoor is an inherently accurate round. Mm-hmm. There's a good availability of factory ammunition out there. They're great for punch and paper. They're great for punch and steel. I would not recommend that as a long range.
What's long range?
What? I'm just going to say like
north of 500.
North of 500. Okay. Inside of 500, shoot it. I would caution probably on taking some of those on elk size game. just for the fact of like, there's other calibers I feel that are better. Can you kill an elk? Are people going to kill an elk every year with the 6.5 Creedmoor? Absolutely. I think at that point it comes into bullet selection and distance and shot placement. Okay, that's when you get.
So you're first off steering me north or south of a 6.5.
Probably, unless that what I also tell folks too is like, what's going to be your 80%?
Probably 80%. I'm gonna be shooting at deer and elk.
Okay. Deer, like I said, I think you're fine. Now, a caliber that I would recommend jumping up from there, if you're not going to be shooting at the range all the time and you like that 6.5, I would probably say go with the 6.5 PRC. It's going to give you...
What's the difference?
So, so I know folks can't see on listening through, but
think, a bunch of rounds.
Yeah, I got a bunch of rounds here. And what I'm going to pick up is, first thing is a 6mm Creedmoor, which is the same case as a 6.5 Creedmoor, it's just neck down to 243 6mm. I'm then going to show a 308 Winchester.
Now, when you got to break it down, what do you mean when you say neck down?
The bullet, the bullet diameter,
and this might be basic to some, but I just want to make sure.
So a bullet diameter with a 6.5mm. Where it gets real confusing is are we using a metric nomenclature or are we using an inch, right? So a 30 caliber is 7.62 millimeters.
Right.
284, 7mm. 6.5mm is 264. So a 264 Win Mag, a 26 Nosler, a 6.555 Swede, a 6.5 Creedmoor, and a 6.5 PRC all shoot the same diameter bullets. Now, when I said neck down, was take those 26 caliber 6.5mm bullets, take them down, and you would take the case, and then essentially when it goes neck down, it was meaning that going from 6.5 to 6mm, shooting a smaller bullet in the same case.
Okay.
So what you're getting there is, in a 6mm, you're going to shoot a lighter bullet faster.
Mm-hmm.
As you go bigger, obviously you're going to be shooting bigger bullets slower. So the reason why I say on a 6.5 Creedmoor, if somebody's going to be shooting deer, man, go at it. You know what I mean? And they want something they can lay down behind and affordably shoot out to. They can shoot up to 1,000 yards and be fine. But
on deer.
What I'm saying, probably, let's say about 800 yards on deer. And still have enough
Why did
velocity.
the 6.5 Creedmoor get so much height? What's going on?
Have you ever heard of Hornady?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're good.
They're a marketing genius.
Yeah.
Now, I love Hornady stuff. Obviously, I've got Hornady bullets sitting here, but when they get behind something, but it took 10 years for the 6.5 Creedmoor to really get it was making its way, right?
Yep.
And then it just was like the hottest thing out there.
Yeah.
And then think of the 6.5 PRC as the 6.5 Creedmoor's big brother.
Mm-hmm.
You will then
you have that right here?
I have.
Let's see that.
So let's take a case diameter of. Okay, you see how fat this. So what I'm holding up right now is a 7mm Remington mag. Okay, you see where the belt is here on the bottom,
yep.
And then you see this case diameter.
Yep.
Think about the fact, now, take that taper, which actually it would be more like this, come straight out, and have it be about the length of what the 308 that I was showing you. It's a short, fat round.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's chubby.
It's chubby.
Took a chode.
Yep. So a short, short, fat one is what it does is it allows a good tight powder charge that allows to be able to build a good velocity behind a projectile, and the 6.5 PRC too, when you can also shoot it in a short action. It is chambered to where the overall length, I think, is around 2.8 inches. Maybe a hair over, but what that still does is it still gives you almost the same overall length as a 6.5 Creedmoor, but with a fatter case that allows you to push more.
Yeah,
more
powder.
More powder. What that does then is it helps you on your bullet selection, where you might be shooting a 129, 130 grain bullet, maybe on deer with the 6.5 Creedmoor. It's going to shoot the 143, the 147 grain bullets well.
Sure.
And then when you jump up, it will then be able to allow you to shoot what I'm going to call the heavy for caliber bullets, which are going to be the 150 caliber, the 150 grain Sierras and the 156 grain Burger. Okay. I shot a deer with this 156 grain Burger this year with the 26 ouncer. They punch a hole, right?
Right.
Now with that PRC it's going to be able to possibly get you up around 3,000 feet per second with a heavy bullet. So what that's going to do is, if you were to take it out west, having that higher initial velocity is going to allow you to have better downrange, let's say energy, but maintain velocity downrange.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, shooting a high BC bullet that then is going to probably be able to do a little bit more damage on impact. Okay.
So you're saying,
if I were to have the one, right? If you had to pick the one
for deer and elk,
and you're mostly going to hunt deer and occasionally hunt the elk, you could do it with the 6.5 PRC. Just keep your shots inside, in a reasonable
what about
distance.
bullet availability?
If you're not going to reload,
can I go down to the?
Yeah, and that's the great thing about having Hornady behind a 6.5 PRC. Give it a few more years, it's going to be out there in just about every shop, right? So you can go anywhere.
So is it at Cabela's right now?
Oh yeah, you'll be able to go to Cabela's and grab a 6.5 PRC off the shelf.
No problem.
No problem. It's going to be probably loaded with a 143 grain ELDX bullet and a 147 grain match grade bullet.
Okay, so I'm your client.
Yep.
You say, hey, I'm saying, okay, I'm going to trust you 6.5
Okay.
PRC. What else would you ask me? Like what? Take measurements of me? Are you?
Well, I would say that we're not going to be the stock wise when you start getting into measurements. Most of the stocks are going to be standard at a 13.5-inch length of pull, which is pretty much a standard length of pull.
And length of pull is the measurement of?
Basically from here, where the trigger is,
all the way
back
to the bottom of the stock.
Yeah.
Okay. So the trigger to the bottom of the stock.
Yeah, back. It's roughly 13.5, and I think that was that whole equation came about, good gosh, probably 100 years ago, and it was a military thing, and it's just been adopted. It's stayed the same, and what you're starting to see a lot more on custom stocks are the ability to, and I'm picking up a stock now to show folks.